Hey, I'm Matt Blanchette of Blanchette Homes, licensed realtor with Keller Williams. And this is Applied History, a hands-on speaker series promoting the lost art of preservation. Hello, Officer Schultz. I should say Chief Schultz. Thanks for being here today to start our first episode of Applied History. So you must know the Amesbury Police Station pretty well.
I do.
So the balcony that's going to be restored now, what room is that from the inside out?
So in the early days, it was the main entrance into the courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to walk up the stairs and turn to go into the courtroom, the balcony was directly behind you on the outside of a couple of swinging glass windows.
Mm-hmm.
That stayed more as a decorative piece to the building than anything else. It really wasn't an operational piece.
Yeah.
I do remember at some point after I came here that we were doing some type of work to the front of the building, and Chief Cronin at the time asked me to go out and stand on it and take something down or put something up. I don't recall what it was. And I was a little skeptical of stepping out there because even at that time, I want to say it was probably
it didn't instill confidence.
No, it was. I want to say it was probably 1990, 91 that I stepped out. And just kind of like still holding on to the windowsill.
Yeah, wasn't sure if you were going to make it back in. Okay, so it needed it structurally. It needed it aesthetically. What kind of an impact is it going to have on the police officers in the town when you see this brought back to the way it should be? Restoring
this to what it was.
Yep.
I think will instill some pride back into the folks who are working there.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how Latady design and the Window Woman of New England in modern heritage and that Philip Becker is able to help to reflect the character of the station of the officers in the physical building. So, what do you say we go check it out?
I'm excited. Let's go.
All right. Oh, who's this?
Hey, Matt.
Oh, Kevin Latady.
Good to see you guys.
Hello, sir.
Good to see you.
Hey,
Imagine seeing you here.
I was heading up to the police station. You guys want to come up and take a look?
Oh, we'd love to. Yeah, absolutely. We're going the same way. Yeah.
Have you ever been in my office?
Actually, no.
Hey, let me show you that.
Let's go check out Latady's design.
So this is the office. This is Dan. Dan works for me. He's been with me for a couple of years, and is my lead draftsperson in design. Works with the design. This is what I wanted to show you. This is the materials that we've been working with on the station.
Wow.
So this is when I came up here a couple of years ago. We decided to move to Amesbury, and this is just something that stuck out at me, and I thought, wouldn't it be fun to get involved fixing it? All this wood, everything other than the corbels, everything looks like it needs to be torn off and replaced. And as it turns out, all those balustrades are in perfectly good shape. There may be some epoxy, preservation epoxy we might use to just fill in some of the gaps. But other than scraping and painting, everything there that you're looking at is pretty much historical.
Awesome.
And so that's just under 100 years old, but it will last for 100
and
more
100
years.
after you love it, right?
New pine up there, it won't last that long.
Right. And so again, part of what we're trying to do here is to help homeowners who have a house that might look overwhelming, and yet with a little bit of knowledge and understanding, it might be much more feasible to preserve your home than you might have assumed. So I'm looking forward to going to the police station and meeting Andrew Brewin of Modern Heritage today to go see how he's fixing these corbels and go over how we can preserve, restore, and rebuild our antique homes.
Very good. Let's go over.
All right.
All right. Cheers. We got some trouble here.
Andrew, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming along.
Awesome. Great. How are we doing? I'm doing great. I'm excited to learn about what you've been doing here and hopefully help us understand how things that look terrible might actually be more preservable or restorable than you might think.
Absolutely, yeah. That's kind of what I'm doing here today. Is kind of dissecting what we can preserve, what we can restore, and what we can rebuild. Essentially.
Yeah. So what's a way that you can preserve something that looks bad but maybe is a little bit of a DIY?
So this is kind of a piece that we cut out of there. We are making some of this because a lot of it is too gone up there. But a good part of this could be preserved, and we're going to save it if we can.
Okay.
One bit is this 2-part epoxy here, and it's really liquid.
Yeah.
So anywhere that's exposed end grain, you really want to seal up and make sure that's sealed. That's where a lot of the rot comes from.
Exposed end grain?
Exposed end grain.
So if it's going to be susceptible to moisture, you want to seal it up with some epoxy?
Yeah, this is a 2-part epoxy. System 3 makes it.
This is it right here?
This is it. This is a whole kit actually. I got it down at the road at Amesbury Industrial.
Okay.
And this has the putty that I'm going to talk about in a second, as well as this epoxy, and it's kind of a nice. It kind of has the 2 parts in one here. The preserve and restore anyway.
Awesome.
Not the
So
rebuild.
walk me through the process of
Yeah.
how to use the epoxy itself.
Yeah, so basically it's a 1-to-1 mix. So you put these together in a different container, you stir it together,
Yeah.
and then you apply it either with I like for the end grain, I like these acid brushes.
Okay.
Just because you can kind of really get in there.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a disposable brush, obviously, because you're not going to be able to hang on to it after
Yeah.
this. And you just kind of brush it in as best you can, and then
Awesome.
you give it a little sand. So that's really the best way to apply this portion of it.
So you're just mixing it to a 1-to-1 ratio. It's pretty clearly defined.
It's pretty clear to find, yeah.
Yeah.
Most are 1-to-1. Some they have special dispensers you can use and stuff like that. Yeah.
Cool. And then what might be like the next step up, a little more serious preservation work?
The next would be the restore, and that's where this comes in, where again it's a 1-to-1, but this is more of a putty.
Okay. And this is all in the same
This
box?
is all in the same box.
And you got this at Amesbury Industrial?
I did, yep,
Okay, great.
exactly. They had it right on the shelf, which is great.
Great.
And they can guide you there,
Awesome.
So this is again a 1-to-1, and this is when you really need to shape and kind of sculpt something, you
Yep.
know. I hadn't got around to making a knife for this yet, but this is an example of
Oh
one that
wow,
you can use that for.
you must have to throw that away.
You can dig it out, because a lot of it is solid. You stick your
Really?
knife into it, and a lot of it is pretty solid. I mean, you're not really getting any give or anything like that,
Okay.
So it's really just that end part. This is maybe the extreme. This is getting to the level of questionable, but you could
Okay.
still certainly save it.
But even this is salvageable?
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. You
So
scrape
walk
off
us
all the
through,
paint.
I mean, if I may.
Yeah.
So walk us through how you would save a piece, because I mean, to me that looks pretty bad.
Yeah, so you want to get all this out, and you want to seal this up first with the liquid, so that's
Okay.
all sealed.
Yep.
And then what you want to do is you want to take this 2-part putty and mix it together.
Yep.
And you shape it in, and then I was doing it with this one earlier. I haven't cut this one yet, but you can just get one of these again at Amesbury Industrial, one of these plastic.
Yep.
You hold the end on it and you trace it with your with a pencil.
I feel like that's a little trick of the trade.
It is absolutely. And then you kind of just go through, and once you get the putty in there,
Wow.
you can kind of get in there, and you can kind of it will be smoother than this.
Sure.
And you can shape it along there and pull it up.
That's fascinating.
And that gives it a shape, and you kind of work it, and depending on how hot it is out, and you can
Yeah.
also play with the mixtures a little bit, but you can mix it a little hot, they call it sometimes, where it'll kick off a little sooner. You want to just kind of keep shaping it as best you can. You'll scrape extra off
Okay.
And
But
there's
you're going to
definitely some
shape it.
with a putty knife.
So that's not too bad.
No, not too bad.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I could do that as
Takes
a
little-
homeowner.
Absolutely, yeah. All right.